What if your attendance on the Sunday after Easter was actually higher than your attendance on Easter Sunday? Does that sound backwards? It does, doesn't it? And for most churches, Easter is the peak, and the Sunday after can feel like a letdown. Teams are tired, momentum fades, attendance drops. But what if that didn't have to be the story? Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Kevin Brown. I'm the pastor of Cornerstone Church, a multi-site church in Southwest Georgia. I also serve on the leadership team of Harvest Network International, where we walk alongside churches and leaders from around the world. Now, over the years, both in our church and walking with other leaders, I've seen how much pressure we put on Easter and how often it leaves teams exhausted and momentum short-lived. Every year, as Easter approaches, most of us do the same thing. We start cramming everything into one weekend. A Good Friday service, community egg hunts, family events, special kids programming, extra rehearsals, multiple Easter services. And none of those things are bad. In fact, they're all good things, meaningful things. But somewhere along the way, Easter becomes less of a season and more of a logistical sprint. We try to fit everything, the weight of the cross, the joy of the resurrection, family connection, outreach, follow-up, into about 48 hours. So we load up Friday night. We pack out Saturday. We pour everything into Sunday morning. And then Monday comes. The crowds are gone. Our teams are exhausted. The momentum of Easter created now starts to fade. And often the Sunday after Easter ends up feeling surprisingly quiet, coming right on the heels of one of the biggest Sundays of the year. And that's when I think the familiar question shows up. How do we make Easter next year better or bigger or have more impact? More services, more events, more promotion, more pressure. But what if the problem isn't that Easter isn't big enough? What if the problem is that we're asking one Sunday or one weekend to carry more than it was ever meant to carry? That question forced us to rethink Easter, not as a big day or weekend or service, but as a season of intentional impact. And that's when things began to change for us. Instead of cramming everything into one weekend, we started spreading the impact across multiple Sundays, each with a clear purpose, a clear win, and a clear next step. For us, Easter became more than one Sunday or even one weekend. It became Palm Sunday, Easter Sunday, and the Sunday after Easter. 3 big Sundays or 3 big weekends celebrating Jesus, building relationships, and inviting response, leading to greater impact, more lasting fruit, less burnout, and a more meaningful spiritual season. A few years ago, in the middle of COVID, I put together an Easter plan called the 7 E's of a Great Easter. It was a simple framework that helped us plan, pray, and lead our people well in a really difficult season. Now, I'm not going to walk through that today, but if you'd like it as a resource, just comment 7 or send me a message and I'll personally send it to you. But what we eventually learned, though, is that even a great framework can't carry the full weight of Easter in one weekend. So we asked a different question. What if Easter wasn't a weekend or service, but a season to walk people through? That question changed everything for us. Instead of one overloaded weekend, we began anchoring Easter across 3 intentional Sundays, each carrying a different part of the story. The first Sunday is Palm Sunday, and we stopped treating it like a warm-up and started treating it like the front door. Palm Sunday is naturally invitational. Families are already thinking about Easter. Kids are already excited. So the win for Palm Sunday is connection. So after service on Palm Sunday, we host a simple family event. Nothing fancy, lunch, games, an egg hunt. We make room for people to linger and to talk. It's intentional, it's relational, and it's fun. Here's the key. Palm Sunday doesn't exhaust our team, it energizes them. Because we're not trying to do everything at once. We're building towards something bigger. Now, Easter weekend is still big. This is the center of the story. We begin on Good Friday and we slow the pace on purpose. This is where we remember the cost, the suffering, the sacrifice. We focus on the cross. We don't rush it. We don't dress it up. Good Friday gives people space to sit with the weight of sin and the depth of God's love. It's reflective. It's scripture heavy. It's quiet. And it's intentional. And what we've learned is this: when people feel the weight of the cross on Friday, the resurrection on Sunday means more. Then comes Easter Sunday. This is the celebration, the resurrection, the victory of Jesus. There's a clear proclamation of the gospel. But here's the difference. Because Palm Sunday carried much of the relational and family weight, and Good Friday carried the spiritual weight, Easter doesn't have to do everything. It can focus on what matters most. This is where we clearly proclaim the gospel, where we expect God to save people, where we pray for clarity and conviction and response. We pray and we plan carefully, knowing exactly what invitation we're extending. We equip our church to invite boldly and serve joyfully. And we remind our teams of something simple. Easter isn't a show to attend. It's a mission to participate in. Now, yes, we work hard, but we also enjoy the process, and the joy is contagious. And we are intentional about encouraging the church, celebrating salvations and stories and testimonies and the moments where God clearly shows up. But we don't stop there, because Easter creates momentum, and momentum needs direction. The next step is the following Sunday. This may be the most overlooked opportunity of the entire Easter season. The Sunday after Easter is where momentum is either intentionally guided or it quickly fades. So we treat it like a big Sunday. In fact, last year, our attendance on the Sunday after Easter was actually higher than Easter Sunday. And it wasn't by accident. It was because people knew there was a clear next step. For us, this has become Baptism Sunday, because baptism does something powerful. It gives new believers a clear next step. It turns private decisions into public declaration. It brings friends and family back into the room, and it brings celebration across the entire church. Now, if baptisms aren't an option for you, that's okay. This Sunday can still be about response. Next steps, maybe a newcomers gathering, maybe a time to share testimonies, a clear path forward. Whatever you do, don't let Easter be the end of the story. Let it be the beginning. Palm Sunday creates the connection. Easter Sunday proclaims the gospel, and the Sunday after Easter forms disciples. So if you're listening and wondering, what would this look like in our church? Let me say this. You don't need a bigger budget. You don't need a bigger staff. You don't need a bigger building. You need a bigger view of impact. Make Palm Sunday the front door. Make Easter Sunday the proclamation, and make the Sunday after Easter the response. 3 intentional Sundays celebrating what Jesus has done and inviting people into what he's doing next. One clear gospel message, lasting fruit. I'm praying for you as you prepare for this Easter season. I'm praying it would be one where Jesus is celebrated, believers are strengthened, families are cared for, and people far from God come alive in Jesus. Because Easter isn't about having a big event. It's about making a big impact. It's the fact that Jesus is alive and he's still changing lives today. One last thing, if the 7 E's of a great Easter would be helpful to you as a planning resource, just comment 7 or send me a message and I'll personally send it to you. Thanks for listening. And if this has been helpful, would you share it with another leader? And until next time, keep building healthy churches that multiply.